wrong with you? You're imagining things.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Do you believe in the boogeyman?
No.
Whatever you do, don't fall asleep.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars and welcome to a classic horror film review. Today I'm taking a look at the 1984 legendary horror film A Nightmare on Elm Street. The film is written and directed by Wes Craven and it stars Heather Langenkamp, Johnny Depp, Robert Englund and John Saxon. Now the film focuses on a group of teens who live near and around Elm Street. They are all having reoccurring dreams of a vicious killer called Freddy Krueger, who is haunting them in their dreams. They all start realizing that they're dreaming about the same man, and one in particular, Tina, seems very, very in danger. And this one particular night, they're having like a sleepover, and she is attacked in her sleep, murdered by Freddy, and her boyfriend is assumed to be the killer. However, Nancy knows otherwise, and she knows that he's in actual fact Freddy Krueger. Freddy Krueger, the child murderer, the local child murderer from years previously, who was captured and killed by the parents of Elm Street when he escaped justice. And Freddy is back for revenge. Right. What are my thoughts on A Nightmare on Elm Street? Well, with it being Friday the 13th today, I thought I'd do a classic horror review for you guys. I didn't want to do the cliched, Friday the 13th review. I wanted to revisit a franchise that I haven't watched for quite a while, quite a few years, and that is the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. I haven't watched these films for so long, and I used to absolutely love these films when I was younger. Pretty much all of them I really enjoy, and I know some of them are obviously stronger than others. A lot of people really dislike the second one. I've always kind of enjoyed it, even though it's a long time since I've seen it, so my views may change on that one. But right up to A New Nightmare and Freddy vs. Jason I quite enjoy as well. I just love the character of Fred Krueger. I thought it's played brilliantly by Robert Englund. A really charismatic performance by him. However, it's interesting to note that his performance in the original one, A Nightmare on Elm Street, is quite different to the persona that he gives us in many of the sequels. He's much more sinister. He doesn't say a lot in this one. He's a darker presence, whereas he gets a little bit more comedic as the movies go on. And then we kind of see a resurgence of the Freddy we see in this film in Wes Craven's New Nightmare, I suppose you could argue. So he's a very, very sinister figure in this one, which is really a testament to how strong a character they have created here with Freddy. Because he only has about 7 minutes of screen time, I think, in this film overall. So it really, as I say, it really does say a lot about the presence that he holds over this film. Now, after watching this, so I could obviously prepare for this review, I thoroughly enjoyed it. But there's no getting away from the fact that there are moments in this film where it properly hams it up, and there is some serious overacting by some of the actors, especially. I think it's the one that plays Nancy's mum. I'm not sure the actress. Very over the top with her performance. I mean, really, really disturbingly so. I mean, it's quite jarring when you watch. But it doesn't detract much from the movie. I mean, the film does take itself seriously, but at the same time, it allows you as an audience member to enjoy yourself with it. It's not what I would describe as a terrifying film. I mean, the scene where Tina gets killed at the beginning is pretty disturbing, I suppose. I remember the first time I saw that, it was very, very scary. And there's a couple of other scenes as well that really do stand out. I remember the scene with him, stretching out his arms and going down the alley and stuff was... when I first saw this, I remember everybody talking about this film at school. I mean, there's 3 films that I distinctly remember people talking about when I was at school, secondary school, because I would have probably been in my first year when this came out at secondary school, and everybody were talking about this because piracy was rife in those days, with VHS and stuff. So a lot of kids had watched this film that shouldn't have watched it. And so there was this one. There was First Blood, the first Rambo that everyone were talking about, and Porky's. They were like the 3 films that really stand out to me in my memory, and everyone was talking about the scenes in this, the scenes with him, going down and scratching with his elongated arms, and the bit in the bathtub where his hand comes up, and the bit where Johnny Depp gets pulled in the bed and there's blood coming out everywhere. I mean, there's so many standout moments in this film, and the tongue coming out of the phone. And I remember the first time I saw it, I would have only been, I don't remember if it was a pirated version that I watched. I suspect it would have been, because what we used to do at lunchtime was go to a mate's house at lunchtime, and he had like all the pirated stuff, and quite a lot of the times we'd go to his house and we'd watch, half an hour one day, and then we'd go back the next day and watch another half an hour sort of thing. We wouldn't, like skip school or anything, but that's how I used to watch a lot of my films that I shouldn't have watched in those days. But I remember it being pretty scary the first time I saw this. I mean, it's not particularly scary when you watch it as an adult, but it is certainly effective. And a lot of fun to watch. And then obviously we have the much maligned ending where the mum gets pulled through the door. I mean it's well known that I think there are about 4 endings filmed for this, and nobody could really decide. The original ending I think Wes Craven wanted was the happy ending, and then they wanted a hint that Freddy was alive so they could do sequels, and then finally the one they agreed on was the one that we essentially get with the mum getting pulled through the door, that just looks terrible. I mean, it must have looked terrible then. It still looks, it looks horrific now. I mean, it just looks so bad. But again, you can forgive it. And this film is kind of labelled as the film that saved New Line Cinema, because it was in serious financial trouble at the time, New Line Cinema, and this film essentially saved the company. Obviously, this is the film debut of Johnny Depp, which I'm sure many of you will realise, but if you didn't, it was the film debut of Johnny Depp. A lot of actresses were in the running for the Nancy roles, such as Demi Moore, Jennifer Grey, Courtney Cox, and even though they are big names at the time, when this film was being cast, they were unknowns, really, most of them. But ultimately, I mean, what more can you say about A Nightmare on Elm Street? It is a really enjoyable film. I certainly am going to revisit all the Nightmare on Elm Streets, and I will probably continue to review them on the channel, because I did enjoy revisiting this. I may even as well brave the remake or the reboot that they did in 2011 that I have seen once before, that I don't remember being overly impressed with, but I may well revisit that as well, guys, if you would like me to. So thank you for joining me on Friday the 13th for this classic horror review. Don't forget, if you enjoyed the video, please click the like button. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing, and I will of course be back with plenty more reviews and content on the channel very, very soon.